Hi and welcome to another video. This time I'll be discussing my 5 favourite episodes from the sci-fi Stargate SG-1 series that ran from 1997 to 2007 for 10 seasons, including 2 films. The show centres around an ancient Stargate having been discovered on Earth, which contains a wormhole that can transport anyone that steps through it to other worlds. An SG-1 team under the command of General Hammond, led by a former retired Air Force Colonel Jack O'Neill, a scientist Samantha Carter, an archaeologist Daniel Jackson, and an alien called Teal'c, explore different planets and cultures while battling enemies in the form of Goa'uld system lords, replicators, and the Ori. The series stars Richard Dean Anderson, Amanda Tapping, Christopher Judge, and Michael Shanks. Now let's get straight into my best episodes. Bane is my first favourite episode, which featured in Season 2. The premise involves Teal'c being stung by a large flying insect while visiting a planet through the Stargate. The bug's venom causes Teal'c's body to undergo a metamorphosis while also affecting his mind. Bane stood out to me because it made me think of horror films, in particular the 80s remake of The Fly, its follow-up The Fly 2, and Alien. I also never forgot the episode, as I naturally hate insects, especially if they fly and land on you. One funny moment is when O'Neill says to General Hammond, "Request permission to beat the crap out of this man," when Colonel Maybourne shows up as part of a covert NID agency and wants to take Teal'c away so he can be studied and used as a potential biological weapon for the military. I love the funny banter between O'Neill and Maybourne whenever they are on screen together. Maybourne really shows his villainous side at this point in the series when he refuses to have drugs used that could help Teal'c, and that Maybourne wants him to change. I loved the horrifying reveal when the other Stargate team members of Daniel, Sam and O'Neill show us recorded footage of what happens when the final stage of the metamorphosis occurs. The body gives birth to not one, but many flying bugs that had stung Teal'c. This is what becomes of the missing inhabitants of the planet when the SGC team first arrives. One favourite scene of mine is when the team have to go back to the planet to capture a live specimen of the bug. It, along with experimental drugs and Teal'c's symbiote, could cure him. The bug comes flying back out of the gate after them. O'Neill manages to wing the insect with his gun, causing it to fall to the ground, where Carter sedates it. Another aspect of the Bane episode that was memorable to me was the friendship that develops between Teal'c and a little girl called Ellie, who finds him sick and hiding out in a condemned building. She keeps him fed and hidden from the NID and Colonel Maybourne. Near the end of the episode, Teal'c thanks Ellie for helping him by getting her a much bigger Super Soaker water pistol than the one she had earlier. Teal'c squirts Daniel Jackson with a water pistol he has and plays with Ellie. I like this sweet moment as it shows us a more human side to Teal'c's alien character. Usually he came across as pretty serious most of the time and not into small talk. Upgrades is my second favourite episode that features in Season 4. The premise involves Sam, O'Neill and Daniel being given ancient armband technology to wear by a visiting Tok'ra who wants to observe the effects they have on the users. We learn that the armbands give whoever is wearing them increased strength and speed, as well as other abilities. I really enjoyed the superhero style concept and seeing the SG-1 team put their powers to the test against their enemy. Even Daniel Jackson interprets the writing on the armbands as saying, "With great power comes great responsibility," clearly referencing the advice Ben gives Peter Parker that shapes his moral compass as Spider-Man. There are some funny moments, including Sam typing super fast on her laptop that it can't keep up, and text continues to be written on the screen even when she's finished. Next is a funny scene when the three go to a steakhouse, as using their newfound abilities makes them incredibly hungry. Jack says he'll have 3 steaks. The waitress assumes it is for all 3 of them, but O'Neill says that it's just for him. In the end, they all opt for 4 steaks each. The standout scene for me is when Daniel, O'Neill and Sam uncover news that one of the evil Goa'uld system lords, Apophis, is building an advanced battleship on an off-world planet to take on its enemies, including Earth. They decide to undertake a mission to blow it up using explosives while it's being constructed. We see the 3 SG-1 members zoom out of the Stargate, knocking down all the Goa'uld soldiers guarding it. They move so fast that the soldiers have no time to react. Upgrades is also memorable as it features a special guest star, Vanessa Angel, who plays Anise, the Tok'ra who is running the experiment on the effects of the armbands. Vanessa Angel immediately reminds me of one of my favourite comedies of the 90s called Kingpin, about a former 10-pin bowling champion, Roy Munson, that becomes a manager to an up-and-coming Amish player. She plays the character of Claudia, who becomes Roy's love interest by the end of the film. Shades of Grey is my 3rd favourite episode that features in Season 3. The premise involves O'Neill becoming frustrated with the Tolans' reluctance to share their technology of an ion cannon with Earth that he steals from them. Jack is forced to resign his command because of this, and then joins a rogue Stargate team led by Colonel Mayborn. I really like the story concept that you have this other Stargate team operating that seeks to acquire alien technology to defend Earth, but through illegal means. This team is a branch of the NID that visits other planets and steals different cultural technology, and is authorized to use any means necessary if people get in their way, as opposed to trying to possess it through legitimate means and building relationships with alien races. I thought the episode did a good job of showing us that these were a ragtag bunch of individuals by their appearance and the clothes they wore when O'Neill comes through the wormhole to their hidden base. It is cool we get to look at their base and 2 forms of technology they have retrieved, one being an anti-gravitation device and the other a Goa'uld communication ball. The Tolan, the Tok'ra and the Nox are other beings that have had technology taken by Mayborn's team. I would most likely have gone with Colonel Mayborn's covert team. Watching several episodes of Stargate SG-1, Jack's original team of Sam, Teal'c and Daniel never really got their hands on any major alien technology they came across when they visited various planets in the earlier seasons. The inhabitants cite that they don't trust Earth with their technology, that they might use it against other countries, or they're not advanced enough for it. I personally would have been pissed off that we're trying to become friends with these worlds and are not giving us any means to defend Earth from attack that includes some pretty powerful enemies, such as the Goa'uld and the Replicators. It would get to a point with me where I would have said enough is enough and would have resorted to taking technology. However, in terms of anyone that got in our way, I would still have tried to not kill anyone unless they were firing on me. For example, using one shot from a Zat gun to temporarily incapacitate a victim, or tranquilizer darts. One of my favourite scenes is getting to see Colonel O'Neill going on a mission with his new rogue outfit to get their hands on an Asgard device they find in a cave that renders the person carrying it invisible. There was a reference to the 90s comedy series of Seinfeld made by Jack when he is talking to one of his new team members, Major Dean Newman, when using the gold communication ball. That was pretty funny. The first thing O'Neill says to him when his face appears is, "Hello, Newman." It is a common phrase uttered by Jerry on Seinfeld whenever he runs into his arch nemesis Newman, the mailman that he doesn't like, and they always seem to be in competition with one another. There was a twist near the end of the episode I did see coming a mile off, but it still didn't put me off rating this episode very highly. A Matter of Time is my fourth favourite episode that features in Season 2. Attempting to find out what has happened to Major Boyd and the rest of his team while exploring an off-world planet, General Hammond sends a reconnaissance drone through the Stargate. It is revealed that the SG-10 team encountered a black hole and the Stargate can't be shut down as it is now connected to it. The growing gravitational pull of the black hole threatens to suck everyone on Earth into it. There is a chilling scene in the command room when images come back from the drone that there is this gigantic black hole behind Boyd and the look of horror in his eyes. Sam says there is nothing we can do for them as they will be literally pulled apart. She goes on to say, "By some fluke of Stargate technology, we are witnessing something that the laws of physics say we can't possibly witness." Colonel O'Neill responds to Carter, "We are witnessing good men die in slow motion, Captain." I found this episode quite interesting to see what happens if you're unlucky enough to be caught up in a black hole and its effects on the Stargate facility itself. Time passing more slowly inside the base than on the outside. For example, 10 to 15 minutes inside the command center is several hours above ground. Also, that staff speak in a lower pitched voice. A Matter of Time gives a viewer a little more background on Jack O'Neill's character. A Special Forces team enters the Stargate facility as it is believed that the lack of contact is due to an alien incursion. One of the Special Forces soldiers runs into O'Neill, called Colonel Frank Cromwell. Frank served with Jack in the military during the Iraq War and used to be friends. During a mission, Cromwell made the decision to abandon O'Neill and save the rest of the team, as he believed Jack was dead. Only later did he find out Jack was still alive and had spent 4 months in an Iraqi prison. The relationship between the pair was damaged after that, and O'Neill harboured a lot of anger towards him. Lastly, my final favourite episode of Stargate SG-1 is Window of Opportunity, that features in Season 4. While visiting an alien world, O'Neill and Teal'c get caught up in a time loop machine operated by an alien archaeologist and are forced to repeat the same 10 hours that include events on the Stargate base before the mission. The story concept immediately made me think of the 90s romantic comedy Groundhog Day, starring Bill Murray, about an obnoxious weather presenter that gets stuck in a small town during a snow blizzard and has to repeat the same day again and again until he gets things right. After getting caught in the time loop machine, Jack and Teal'c keep finding themselves back on the Stargate facility. The writers did a good job of balancing science fiction and comedy in the episode, and one that is highly rated by fans. At first, O'Neill gets increasingly frustrated with the repetition he's going through. For example, Jack always starts out eating Fruit Loops in the cafeteria, keeps having to tell General Hammond, Sam and Daniel he already knows what the briefing of the upcoming mission will be. Also, an SG-12 member will be injured when they come through the Stargate and going through the same medical tests. When Daniel tells Jack and Teal'c that you could do anything you wanted with no consequences, the episode then turns to moments of hilarious comedy and dialogue that cracked me up. There is a scene straight out of Ghost starring Demi Moore where O'Neill is trying to sculpt a pot from clay. He also plays golf with Teal'c hitting a golf ball through the Stargate, with General Hammond shouting in the background, "Colonel, what the hell are you doing?" O'Neill replies back, "In the middle of my backswing." The most surprising scene of all is Jack passionately kissing Carter in front of Hammond. The final act of the episode I really did like and was quite emotional. It is when SG-1 returns to the planet with the time loop machine and confronts the archaeologist Malachi, who was operating it. We learn that Malachi is using the machine not for an evil purpose, but to be with his wife again, who had died from a weakness of the heart. When Malachi says to O'Neill, "You wouldn't understand about losing someone," Jack yells out, "I lost my son, I know," and he could never live that moment over again. Well, that brings to a close my 5 favourite Stargate SG-1 TV episodes. Did any of these make your favourite episodes list? And if not, what were your favourites? Well, thanks for listening and have a great day.